Okay, so this is 4.3.2, varicose veins. To start off with a little bit of trivia, the smallest blood vessels in your body, so a blood vessel is an artery, a capillary, or a vein. So the smallest of these are 5 micrometers, and that's really tiny when you compare it to a hair, which is 7 micrometers. And if you were to line up the blood vessels, all of them in an adult, they would go out for 100,000 miles. So the three types of blood vessels are the only three I know of actually, which we'll be talking about are arteries, capillaries, and veins. And then later we'll get into talking about how varicose veins are formed and why we don't see varicose arteries. So let's compare arteries, veins, and capillaries. So if you want to look at arteries, first off, notice that first off this outer wall right here, it's thick and muscular because it needs to be able to contract, and as Sam used the little kid language, they need to pump the blood in order to get places in the body. So it has a thick muscular layer, and then it has a thick elastic layer inside of that, and then the lumen, which is the hollow area inside, is a lot thinner than it would be in a vein, and there's more of a smooth lining in a healthy individual in the outside of the lumen. So, yeah. So arteries carry oxygenated blood away from the heart. So arteries away, except for the pulmonary artery, because the pulmonary artery is special. And arteries, this outer wall right here is tough. But then the inside, this smooth lining, it's the smooth lining of epithelial cells, which allows blood to flow easily through the artery. And then this right here, again, is very strong and muscular. And then, so arteries get blood to the heart, again, like Sam called it, by pumping blood. Whereas with veins, we have these pockets right here, which allows blood to only go into one direction. And because most veins are going up, and against gravity, what it does is the blood comes up through here, comes up, pulls, up, pull. And that's how blood is able to get through the vein. So then this outer wall in the vein right here is obviously thinner than it would be in an artery. And there's a thinner layer of muscle and elastic tissue and epithelial tissue and all that stuff. And then here's the smooth lining of epithelial tissue. But notice the substantial difference in the lumen between the two. The lumen in an artery is a lot smaller, so it might have a higher pressure than that in a vein. But yeah. So veins carry blood back from the body, and they're not as strong or thick as arteries are. And these valves, again, help make sure that the vein goes in one direction. And how it does it is there's a muscle right here, or muscles will make small contractions. So then it contracts and pushes the blood up through the vein. And once the blood's up here, this valve closes, so that it can't come back down. And then another muscle contraction, etc. So I think you get the idea of how arteries and veins work. And also notice the difference in how the artery has a very circular shape, but then a vein kind of has this more abstract shape, and it's kind of just there. That's also, yeah, because veins don't need to contract in order to pump blood, because there's muscle contractions around which do it for the vein. And now let's talk about capillaries. And it's honestly, we've learned about this not only in HBS but in PBS and hopefully in bio, so we don't really need to talk about the physiology part, but it helps oxygenate blood, etc. Comes through here. But so capillaries connect arteries to veins, and the arteries deliver oxygenated blood, so sometimes they go this way, and then in the lungs they go that way. It's whatever. But they help deliver the oxygenated blood to the capillaries to exchange gas and carbon dioxide. So if these were cells, the cells would give the capillaries all their carbon dioxide in this purple area right here and be sent off, and they'd receive oxygen from this red blood right here. And then again, note, blood is not red and blue. Blood is always red. This is just so you can visualize oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. So then, yeah, how blood is returned to the heart. So then, again, this is kind of talking about how the veins move. And then this right here is a normal vein, where a muscle contraction would push blood up, the valve would close, push up, the valve would close. But here we have a varicose vein, which we get into, and these valves stop working. So blood kind of gets pooled in this general vicinity here, which is what causes them to enlarge. And they're actually really disgusting if you look at them ever, which we'll look at on the next or in another slide. But yeah, it's gross. So then varicose veins. Now let's talk about them. So they're gnarled, enlarged veins, which commonly happen in the legs and the feet, and they're just caused by standing and walking upright. And one of the conclusion questions is going to ask you what careers would, or who would be at more of a risk for varicose veins. And you need to know that anyone who's standing up and walking. So if you're like a teacher who's lecturing all day, or if you work construction, then you're going to be at more of a risk for varicose veins later in life than someone who is a data entry clerk and sits in an office from 9 to 5. But then pretty much what happens is when you stand and walk upright for long periods of time, it increases the pressure on the veins from the lower body, which causes the veins to enlarge and the valves to stop working. And then the main cause is age, because when you get older, you know, your body just kind of stops working as well as it used to. And it's just this pressure after a long time, just over time, is just going to cause varicose veins. So the elasticity in veins are lost with age. So blood that previously should be moving back to the heart and the upper body is now being pooled down in your lower legs and your feet, because again, that's where you mostly see them. And then it can also be caused by pregnancy, because when you're pregnant, your pregnancy increases the volume of the blood in your body, and it decreases the blood flow to the legs and the pelvis to help the fetus in your uterus be able to live. So less blood starts going down there. And then what actually causes the varicose veins to happen is it's a change in hormones. I didn't get enough time to do enough research in there, but yeah. So then these are varicose veins right here, and you see in a normal vein, it would, again, I don't need to explain that. And then the valve is broken in varicose veins, and then this is what they look like. Right here, I think I have an actual picture, I'm not sure though. But you see they're bluish, and that's because of the walls of the vein, not because the blood is deoxygenated. Because blood is always red, no matter what. And then one of the requirements for the presentation was varicose arteries. But hopefully we all know by now why varicose arteries do not exist. Because they don't exist. That's kind of circular logic. But arteries are deep, and their structure varies from veins. So arteries don't require the muscle contractions in the valves to be able to put blood back or from the heart. Because if we look back here, they don't have these pocket valves. So again, the artery contracts and expands in order to push blood through the body, and it doesn't require the use of other muscles like a vein would. So it's because of the structural difference. So it's impossible pretty much to have varicose arteries. And also, I might have said this already, I'm not sure, and I'm probably just rambling right now, but they're too deep within the body, because arteries are deep, veins are superficial. So yeah, that's it. Thanks.